All right, we're working with the Big Fish Tough True Trip divers. These are really, really cool divers that we just got in the shop this year. Been selling really well. We got the owner of the company, Dan, here with us, with Paul, and we're going to be showing you how they work.
Kind of a new thing, right?
It's a new thing for me. I've never ran them yet, and it's a new thing for Michigan, for sure. We're going to put some of our jammer spoons on, so we're going to see how these things work on these walleye out here.
A few weeks back found me on Lake Erie chasing walleye, but with kind of a twist. Joe Raymer and Andy Gorski both work at Frank's Great Outdoors in Linwood right on Saginaw Bay. They called me and said there was a new diver that they were going to try out and some new spoons that they wanted to test as well. Both Joe and Andy are super fun to fish with, so I met them for a day of testing new gear and catching some dandy walleye at the same time.
There we go, first one. Good job. First Lake Erie walleye of the day. A little bit sporty. Yeah, it is.
Sporty indeed. Now, one thing I need to say is that on camera, the lake looks nowhere near 4 to 5 footers. But just trust me, it was a bit bumpy. But one nice thing about fishing Erie, especially this year, is that the fish are here. And if you can get a line in the water, well, you've got a chance at catching some. Dan Hine is the one who created this new diver that is just being introduced here in Michigan. So I asked him how he ever got started in coming up with this new product.
Well, years ago, some of the captains were doing a thing, putting harnesses and all kind of apparatus on the jet divers, and it was just so much work, so much expense, kind of a pain to deal with. So I thought, well, there's got to be an easier way to make this thing work, and that's really what started the whole True Trip Deep Diver program, was just to make a simpler method for fishing out here. Huh. So
when did you come up with that idea?
well, it was 2009 when we started selling the first ones to some of the charter captains, and we tested them a year ahead of that, out here on the lake, doing all kinds of prototypes, and worked with it the whole year. Kind of kept it under our hats that season, and then went to the restaurant one morning with some of my products, showed some of the captains, and they thought, wow, this thing's really going to work. So that's kind of how we got started with the program, and it's really a simple way of fishing out here on this water. It just makes it so easy for everybody, you know, not just the captains and the professionals, but the everyday boater. They really work slick.
It always amazes me just how much ingenuity sportsmen have, whether it's ice fishermen, bow hunters, or in this case, a walleye charter boat captain. It's pretty cool to see the new products that come to market every year, and also which ones stay and which ones don't.
What's a good day of fishing down here typically?
Last couple weeks we've been getting 6 to 8 man limits in less than 2 hours.
Really?
This year's been phenomenal. All those 14.5 inchers last year we were catching are all between the 16 and 18 inch range. Just a ton of great eating Lake Erie walleye. This one's probably 16.5. Yep, 16.5, 17. Nice and fat. We have mayfly hatch going on right now, so these fish are probably filled with mayflies. A lot of guys say you can't catch fish when the mayflies are hatching, but
And it's all up and down Erie this way right now?
right now, anywhere for like Monroe, I know guys are catching limit catches in hours, all the way to Ashtabula. I mean, Pennsylvania, they're catching them. I fished in Fairport last week, and we got 48 fish in less than 2 hours.
Wow.
We're in Marblehead right now, 5 to 6 foot conditions, and I don't know, we probably made one pass, and we've already got a limit and a half in the boat. So a little bit slower today, probably because of the conditions and a little bit less boat control, but we're putting them in the boat.
Lake Erie is really something, and like Paul said, from Monroe east, this season has been very good. And since we had a bit of a lull in the fishing, I had Paul show us just how this new diver actually works.
So we have a steel rod that's coated right here, and it snaps in and out. So when the fish hits, it's going to pull that mechanism out, and the diver's going to quit diving and float up. So what's going to happen is your fish is going to come along, bite your spoon or your harness or crank or whatever you have back here, and it's going to open that diver up, which is going to allow everything to come up. The fish is going to come up with the weight. The diver is going to come up, and it'll be able to clear all your other lines. Another nice feature about it is if you're going to reset your line or bring it in for any reason, just grab the rod out of the rod holder, you're going to give it a little snap, and it's going to pop open. Today we have 4 to 5 foot waves. So what we do is with a simple screwdriver here, we just turn the screw just a hair, just 1/4 inch, and it's going to tighten up that mechanism to where it's going to be a little bit harder for it to open up. So the waves don't open it up. So if you go out and you're in heavier seas and the divers keep on tripping, all you gotta do is bring it up, give it a little snap, or the opposite way, if it's not tripping, you're just gonna give it a little turn back, and it's gonna open right up.
Down here on Erie, these guys primarily run these on one big planer board, but you can run them on inline planers as well. There's also 3 different sizes of the divers, so salmon guys are starting to run them, as well as the walleye guys. It's pretty neat to be on a boat like today. They have Saginaw Bay guys bringing new spoons down to try here on Erie, and have Erie guys with their new divers show them to the Saginaw Bay guys. Fishermen are resourceful to say the least, and it's kind of cool to see guys showing each other what works in their neck of the woods. After a day of fishing, we brought the fish to the local bar that runs a catch and cook program, which is a great way to end the day. Thanks to Joe and Andy for taking me down to Erie. Thanks to Paul and Dan for a fun day of fishing and for showing us a few new things to try this year out on the water.